Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Okay. Want to figure out? Yeah. Oh, it just records over it. I see.
Control the medium. We can control the context of presentation. Well, is there anybody on the receiving end? Reaching out for some kind of connection. Come on and watch these shows away.
Check 1 2 3. Slow as fuck. Check. Give me a check one time.
Check, one time. Check one time. Check two times.
Tuesday, February 4th, 2014. Cabin Fever Podcast is a go. Good
Coming to you
morning.
live from Cabin Fever Studios.
In the cabin.
Sunny San Diego.
Moderately sunny San Diego.
Yeah, it was
today.
moderately sunny today. Yeah.
Cold as fuck. It probably wasn't that cold. It was probably like...
Well, we have thin skin. We're not
Yeah.
used to this. What do you call it? Rain? Overcast? I don't know what this is. It's insane.
Yeah. It's like when someone dips their fingertips in like a cup of water and then hits you with it.
Flicks you in the face
Flicks
like a...
you- yeah,
Yeah,
flicks you.
yeah. Whoever does that, they're assholes,
They
by
are.
the way. They're real
Remember in
pieces
school,
of shit.
like your friend would go to the bathroom and have his hands wet and he'd
yeah.
come to you and go, just peed.
Right, yeah. Well, that kind of happened to me, like, not like that. But I just
Mostly.
got out of the bathroom and washed my hands, as you should. And there weren't any paper towels, and, I ain't got time to,
Talking
get
about at
toilet
school?
paper or whatever. No, not at school. No, this was at More Furniture.
Oh, recently.
Yeah,
Okay,
recently,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so then we're just leaving or whatever, and I, go to shake someone's hand, goodbye, and my hands are, basically soaking wet, and I'm like, it's just water, don't worry.
You should have done it.
Sorry, I'm not,
Just
my
be-
hands aren't sweating, it's not urine, it's good old-fashioned water.
Just peed.
All right, so yeah, earlier Matt and I, we were at a Ballast Point Brewery here in San Diego, one of our up-and-coming breweries. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I think I know you haven't been to Stone Brewery yet, right?
No.
Well,
No.
Stone's got wonderful, amazing beer, and their brewery is by far one of the nicest, coolest ones I've ever been to. But there's something really cool about Ballast Point that I like. I enjoy their beers. I enjoy the vibe. I like their artwork and their graphics and all that good stuff. So, and they've got 2 locations, so it's pretty cool. So they got one in Little Italy here in San Diego, and then one right over
Scripps
that.
Ranch.
Scripps Ranch. Okay, yeah.
The more business industrial end of Scripps Ranch, right off the 50.
Yeah, so basically it's kind of tucked away in this business park area. And you wouldn't even think of, there's a brewery right over there, but it's right there. It's
Yeah, it's
hidden,
rad.
and it's amazing.
It's rad, and the people are always super nice.
Yeah, real cool.
And
yeah.
the diversity of Ballast Point beer is incredible. Like, they have something for everyone, and they have a lot of different IPAs.
Yeah, they
which
do, and a lot of their
is
stuff
awesome.
is pretty high percentage, which I don't mind trying. A good 10% beer,
Yeah.
It tastes good. It's fucking awesome. Do you guys hear that? Is that a plane?
I think so. I hope so.
Yeah.
Someone's tearing the fabric of the sky or something.
Oh, boy.
We are pretty. No, we're not close to the airport here.
No, not really. But every once in a while, a plane does fly over. It's usually late at night. The police helicopters are buzzing around looking for someone. Looking for a male individual, white shirt and jeans. We really know how to break down a description
That's all we're legally
of the
allowed to
average
say.
human being. Yeah. Right.
It's hard to tell, but his skin might be dark. I don't know.
I'm
the
in
lawyers
a
are
helicopter.
here.
I
The
can't
lawyers are
tell.
here.
Yeah, the lawyers are telling me not to say anything too controversial. But yeah, so from Ballast Point, I picked up a delicious Sculpin, which I think they're I associate Ballast Point with Sculpin, and Sculpin's a delicious IPA. It's 7%, really really tasty. It's got a nice gold look to it, and
Yeah.
how would you describe
It's
it?
hoppy.
Yeah, good hoppy beer.
It's hoppy, but it's got like a nice little kick to it that differentiates it from other IPAs. I feel. Like
Yeah,
a
it's got
strong
that-
hoppy.
It's got that bite, that nice bite to it, but then you can also taste. I taste fruitiness to it. I do
Yeah.
taste the sweetness is there.
Yeah, there's a sweetness to it. What I
Yeah.
like about Sculpin too is like your first drink is always a little strong.
Oh yeah, it's a little bite.
Yeah,
You're like,
it's-
oh shit,
It
I'm-
takes you to the
I'm
next
drinking.
level a little
Yeah.
bit, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
from there though, it's pretty smooth sailing. Like,
Right.
and gives you like a nice hearty buzz. Like,
Well, we are on beers. What was your evolution of your beer drinking, your beer intake? Like, were you a beer fan early in life? Were you, did it take you a while to kind of like build up, your interest in beer and like trying new things and trying different styles, or
for me, I never had that much of an interest in beer. Like, obviously I had tried like cheap beer, Coors Light, Bud Light, all that crap.
yeah.
So I never
Yeah,
was a
yeah.
big fan.
Blue Ribbon.
Yeah, unless we were playing like beer pong or something. Like I didn't
Right.
really drink beer at all.
Yeah.
If I wanted to really like drink and get messed up, I'd have like rum or tequila.
Right. Yeah. Stick with the classics.
Yeah. I forget what my first like craft brew was. I think it was like back then Blue Moon wasn't like as big as it is now, but it
Oh,
was like
right,
the
yeah.
first like different beer you could have, by the
Oh, yeah.
different from the standard.
Oh,
it started
definitely,
appearing
definitely.
in taps in stores
Yep.
and stuff like that.
Yep.
And then like Pyramid, like Hefeweizen, you remember that?
Oh,
beer?
absolutely. Yeah.
I-
Pyramid's great.
Yeah, I think that was like one of my first, like the Hefeweizen was like my first alternative beer.
Yeah, it was
And
your first like, oh, okay, I do like beer.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm-
exactly.
Yeah, it's a
beer
good.
can be pretty good.
Yeah, that's a great beer. It's the gateway beer.
It really is. And then as far as like, so that made me, piqued my interest, I guess, in other kinds of beer and opened up my palate. But
Right.
I don't recall having like an IPA that I really enjoyed until like the Sculpin came along. Where I
Okay.
was like, I really like this.
Yeah.
Like, now I want to try all the IPAs.
Oh, yeah,
kind of
yeah.
thing. Maybe they were too strong. Maybe this was the first one I could really handle. you
Right.
know?
Yeah. For me, beer was I didn't enjoy it. Like, I remember, like, I have very distinct memories of being, I'd probably say, like, 11, 12 years old, and my dad taking me to, like, a brewery restaurant type of place in Texas. And he got the sampler, like, he got, you try all the, all the way from the light beer all the way to the dark, porter type style beer. And he let me sip, each different beer. And at that time, I was like, to me, it just tasted bitter, tasted
Yeah.
gross. I didn't.
You don't.
My palate hadn't, developed a taste for beer yet. I'd much rather have drank a soda than a beer, And it wasn't until later in life to where it was like, okay, like an introduction into, like, Corona for me was like
Oh,
the
yeah.
introduction to beer. Like, put some lime in that beer,
Yeah.
tastes amazing. It's real light, it's tasty, especially like on a hot day. I think the river really, pretty much my first trip to the river out in Arizona was like my first time that I really had an appreciation for beer and really, really enjoyed it. And then, like you said, from there, it's Blue Moon, it's Shock Top, it's
Yeah, Shock Top.
and wheat beers are real light and tasty and flavorful, and they're not too overpowering like a strong IPA might be, or something like that. Something that's got a lot of hops and bitterness to it. And it does throw most people off, and that's why a lot of people still just, for some reason, stick to those shitty ass American lagers like Bud Light and Bud and shit like that.
Is Blue Moon considered a wheat beer?
Oh, it's a wheat beer, yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
So I'm
Yeah.
still trying to differentiate between
yeah,
those other
yeah.
beers.
It's
that-
it's a
yeah.
wheat beer. Yeah, it's a Belgian white wheat beer.
Okay.
Yeah, really good, and it's got that orange, like it's perfect with an orange slice, and the Pyramid Hefeweizen's great with like a lemon wedge or something in there. Real citrusy, tasty, real flavorful. And Yeah, originally, like, I was all about margaritas and, dare
Yeah.
I say, Mike's Hard Lemonade. And
They
even
definitely made those rounds.
Smirnoff Ices and
Yeah.
shit like that.
Because it's just about getting messed up in the easiest way.
Yeah,
possible.
exactly. And then beer pong is an awesome introduction to real shitty beer. But after a couple of games of beer pong, you don't give a shit. You don't care.
Yeah,
if,
yeah.
I prefer drinking, a shitty beer and playing beer pong. I don't want to.
You don't want to
I
waste
don't want
it.
to get shit faced on a good IPA, a good Sculpin or whatever.
Yeah. That's
Unless we have a
expensive
keg of
game.
it or something.
That's for rich people.
Yeah. Wait, rich.
Even like a lighter Ballast Point beer, like the Longfin or the Yellowtail, would be like a light one. But yeah, now I don't know. Like I love IPA. I have a coworker who drinks like exclusively Budweiser.
Oh, okay.
And we were at a bar one night, and they had Sculpin on tap, so I was pretty stoked. And after like 2 Sculpins, you feel pretty good. And he came along, and just wears Budweiser on his chest. I only drink Budweiser, blah blah blah. So I don't know why, for the life of me, saw my beer, and I was just like, "What is that?" And I said, "It's a Sculpin. It's a Ballast Point IPA."
Yeah.
And he wanted to try it, so I said, "Okay." And he took like half of a sip and literally almost spit it out. Like
Right.
the reaction was violent. And he's just like, I don't know how you drink those beers. And I'm like, well, I didn't, you don't start off chugging an IPA. You have to kind of, but once I feel like especially the Sculpin or most IPAs come on really strong. But like, if you kind of let it settle in, like, you're like, you warm up to it a little bit.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And, people need to realize, like, before Prohibition, I mean, there were hundreds and hundreds of breweries. It wasn't just Budweiser, Miller Lite, and Milwaukee's Best, all these American lager beers. They're lighter beers. I mean, before Prohibition, they were making IPAs. They were doing, different styles of beer. And then once Prohibition came in, like, regulations were really crazy, especially when it came to alcohol percentages and what you can do with hops and barley. And it is, like, really weird, like, some of the rules that they have. Just watch, there's a great documentary on Netflix. Oh, shit, what's it called? How Beer Saved the World, I think.
Uh-huh, yeah.
That's a great documentary. Or watch Brewmasters. That's also streaming on Netflix. Great introduction to beer and learning about beer and learning the history about beer, because beer really is an amazing thing. It helped build the pyramids, and I'm sure it helped build a lot of other crazy, cool things that humans have constructed throughout history.
Yeah, and Beer Masters, that's what it's called, right?
Beer Masters,
is great because, well, for me watching it, even though it had come out quite a few years ago, it really gave me insight to like the process of the creativity behind some of these beers.
Oh, yeah.
and how it's implemented in the whole process. And these guys are like technical chefs when it comes to brewing a beer, and it's really, really fascinating. It makes you want to try more too.
Oh, definitely, yeah. It's a true skill. I mean, and basically, beer it's a tea. It's when you first start off, you're brewing grains and you're adding different accents and flavors that you're trying to create something tasty and flavorful, plus alcoholic. That's going to get you a good buzz, but also taste really, really good. And beer's an acquired taste. So I mean, your friend who is Bud Light only or Budweiser only, I'm sure at some point, hopefully he'll start branching out, and he'll just slowly start trying like the lower grade IPAs, and then working your way up. Because I've tried IPAs, and I'm like, oh shit, I bought this pint, and now I have to finish this motherfucker.
Yeah, it's true. You really don't know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
A lot of the times, and especially with the there's so many micro brews now. People try to differentiate themselves, so they make like a really strong, double IPA or something. And
that is why this is kind of a really cool time, especially, I mean, at least for beer, because there's so many different breweries popping up, and it's really becoming like a cool family-owned business that people can start up. If you're good at it, and if you're smart, and you apply yourself, you have a little bit of business savvy, you can come up, just like Ballast Point is since 96 or 95? Yeah, 1996. They're, right around the corner from 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they're just kicking along, and they
Yeah.
make really, really good beer. And, they started off with their signature beers and just kept going off of there. Today I tried a habanero sculpin?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and that shit was crazy. I wouldn't ever buy, a lot of it, but to taste it and just to try it, because it is really, really hot. Like, you smell it, doesn't smell spicy, you don't get, any spice at all. And then you first sip it, and you're like, okay, this tastes good. And then it's just that aftertaste that it just kind of sets in, and it's just it is a heat. It's just like you ate a pepper, and it's pretty fucking crazy. And you're expecting to feel refreshed. I mean, it's refreshing, but it throws you off. It's not the typical beer, but it's nice to try stuff like that every once in a while.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And they, like we said earlier, it was you don't taste the spice, but you feel it. It was just a crazy combination.
Yeah.
Of things. But then Ballast Point also makes a Thai chili, Wahoo wheat version, or a version of their Wahoo wheat called Thai chili, which was actually like a really spicy tasting and smelling beer that I got on a whim at a place here in San Diego called Tornado's, which is like known for having a bunch of different breweries on tap.
And that's actually my favorite bar, and it's in North Park. It's on 30th Street. I don't know the exact address, but it's pretty close to. It's in between El Cajon Boulevard and University. So check it out.
Yeah,
Tornado's.
Tornado. They have tons of craft brew on tap, and they had a Thai chili.
I think
that
they
was nice and
claim 50 beers typically they try to have on tap. So I mean they've got it's all beer basically, and they have ciders too, and maybe a couple of wines, maybe for those people who don't drink beer. But it is a beer bar. They don't serve whiskey or cocktails or anything like that. So if you're a beer fan, and they have real good food too, like really, really good bar food, burgers, and they have like steak night sometimes, and all kinds of cool random events. So yeah, check it out, Tornado's.
And you can bring your dog in there.
Yeah, I guess you can. Fucking hipsters. Man.
At least it's,
I have a chinchilla. Can I bring my chinchilla in?
at least it's not their cat. Their cat on a leash.
I guarantee the cat's been in there. We haven't been there when there was a cat, but there's been a couple of cats in there.
When there is, we're dropping the mics on them, and we're having a podcast just right there.
What was cool about Tornado's is I don't know, they used to have dollar bills on
on the
tacked
ceiling.
up there, and I went there before they started that, and then they started doing it. I'm like, what the fuck? There's dollar bills on the ceiling, and then they just stopped doing it. Now there's no more dollar bills. I'm like, oh, they must have paid for their something. They're like, hey everybody, let's stick $1 on the roof tile.
They all went in on an expensive bottle.
Yeah, exactly.
Imported IPA. Hand brewed at a monastery in the Himalayas.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that place is awesome. But the Thai chili beer, Ballast Point.
Yeah, try it. It's a seasonal thing, right?
I'm sure it is.
So I'm sure it'll be back
only seen it
around
once.
at some point. So
Yeah.
check back at Ballast Point. And I'm sure they have like a brew calendar. Most places do. They'll let you know like when their seasonal stuff's coming out and all that good stuff.
Yeah, what's cool about being in San Diego also is like a lot of our local liquor stores have just fully embraced the beer culture, and you can walk into some places and they just have aisles of micro-brewed beer.
Yep.
I mean, just with
They'll
an
have
incredible amount of selection.
Oh yeah. They'll have. Sometimes they'll have growlers. Sometimes they'll have the 22-ounce bottles. They'll have the 4-packs, the 6-packs. All that good stuff. There's actually a pretty good home brew craft type of place in North Park. It just opened up, and they've got like all kinds of great stuff. I've only been in there one time, and it was like real brief, but I've been meaning to go back there and check it out and pick up something like really unique and bring it to the podcast so we can try something. Like let's see what a $10 bottle of beer tastes like.
Seriously,
Something unique and something different because. That's kind of the cool thing about it, It's like, finding a little hidden gem or something,
Definitely.
Yeah.
I guess if I had a recommendation to give of a beer I discovered recently,
Yeah.
would be the Goose Island
Yeah, we just had that.
brewery.
Yeah, it was really good.
And I've only had their IPA, but it was
That was the IPA that we
IPA.
had?
Yeah. I had it on tap when I first discovered it at a random tap at a hookah bar. But it was so good. It was just nice and smooth. Like I guess not as hoppy IPA, but more of a smoother IPA.
Right.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
Still had the great taste and higher alcohol content of an IPA.
Yeah.
And yeah, very enjoyable.
So have you had like what's the highest percentage of beer do you think you've had? Maybe like a 10 or 12 or something around there? I'm sure you've had a beer where you're like, oh wow, I can taste the alcohol in this.
Yeah, not that I recall like right offhand. I mean, some of the beers we had today were 10%.
Oh yeah, yeah, and you can't really taste the alcohol really.
Yeah, I know I've had. I think that Mission makes the Shipwrecked Double IPA. That's like a 12.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And,
Well, we need to go to we just need to go to some like brew fest and stuff, and they'll like give you like little. You pay, you get your ticket in, and you get like 10 samples of like little ounce glasses or something. But they usually hook you up when you go to those places. They pretend to stamp or check off whatever, and they just give you samples because they want you to try their beer. They want you to, if you 10 samples will get you in a good place, but it's nice to be able to get 15, 20 samples if you can.
just to taste.
Just a taste.
You know what we should do? Make
quick nip.
We should make little laminates that say like Cabin Fever podcast, and we'll just wear them around. And people
Press.
Like, oh man,
Cabin Fever. Press.
Let's hook these guys up with some
Yeah.
beer and they'll talk.
Fuck yeah.
Because we will. We'll sit here and get. But yeah, So a good beer brewery experience, and we'll explore a couple of micros upcoming.
Yes, very soon. Yeah. Yeah, we definitely have plans to check out Stone Brewery. I've only been there one time and didn't really get to experience it. Just kind of checked it out, got a beer, hung out.
I have a question. Do you know the what's the difference between like a micro? Is Ballast Point still like a micro brew? Because they're pretty big facility.
I would say, since they're, I think it all depends on how far they're able to distribute their product. But they're in grocery stores. I mean, they're in Vons.
Yeah, you
and
can
things
get it
like
just
that.
about
You can get a
anywhere.
6-pack of their maybe their top 3 or 4 beers that they typically sell. So yeah, I would say they're a. I don't know what would be above a microbrew. Just a brewery. Like a microbrew would be, they just have one location. It's real basic. Maybe they just have their signature, 5 beers. They've got their IPA. They've got their wheat beer. They've got their porter. Stuff like that.
I think it has to do with their distribution, like you said.
It's got to be something about that. Yeah.
I can. It's worth a Google. Okay.
And then another brewery I've been to is Sierra Nevada up in Chico, California, Northern California. One of the better breweries that I've been to. Really, really cool. It's a small town feel, giant brewery. I mean, obviously you've heard about Sierra Nevada. They have their pale ale is really well known.
Yeah, not to interrupt your story, but Sierra Nevada Pale Ale was one of the first different ones, beers that I had that I was like, this is a really good beer.
Yeah, it's a good beer. It's not overpowering. Very flavorful. Really, really tasty. You'll see the green box. It's out there.
Yeah.
Pick it up. Try it. It's probably $17 at your grocery store. Try it.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's definitely worth it.
And I, every once in a while too, because they're such a staple now on the tap, I always try to go for something different.
Me too.
A couple weeks ago, I was at a dive bar seeing a band play, and they had a Saint Archer on the tab.
Okay, yeah.
And that was a really good beer
nice,
too.
Yeah.
See, and just like, you're always in for a surprise, but once your palate adjusts, you're not like at first I'd be skeptical, like, well, what if I don't like it? I'm gonna waste my money on a pint. But like,
I don't $5-6 or whatever.
I don't think there's been a time over the past couple of years where I've ever gotten a beer I'm like, oh, well, I don't like this.
Yeah.
I don't have to finish it.
Yeah,
not finish it. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, once you kind of acquire a taste for beer, it's like, well, you kind of know what you're getting into at some point. You might be surprised by a beer. You're like, oh, wow, this is a lot hoppier or a lot more powerful than I thought it was, but it's still really tasty.
Yeah.
You still got an appreciation for it.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, Sierra Nevada is fucking awesome. That is one of the coolest breweries I've been to. I've been on the tour twice, and I just like the way that they do it there. They're most of the power is solar energy.
Oh,
I mean, they've got giant solar panels everywhere, all over their building. It's very self-sustaining. They try to get local, products from, when it comes to their restaurant, and of course their ingredients for their beer. So yeah, it's just a cool brewery.
Yeah.
Check it out if you're ever up there.
Yeah, I'm sure that'd be worth the tour.
All right, so I figured since we didn't get a chance to talk about this last time on our last podcast with Chaz and Chelsea,
Yes.
interviewing them about the Pacific Crest Trail, this crazy journey that they're going to be going on, a 6-month journey, and that's going to be coming up in April, right?
Yes,
Yeah, it's
April.
coming up in April, and so we interviewed Chaz and Chelsea, so if you didn't get a chance to check it out, we will, it's out there right now as I
Yeah.
speak. Well, it's not really, but
Yeah.
it will be.
No.
By the time this podcast comes out, that podcast will hopefully eventually be out there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and then we'll probably play audio clips and stuff from the interview, sprinkle it in. Is that what we're gonna do? Or
I think we should listen through it.
listen through it and see.
Yeah,
break
and
it down.
play it. Definitely bring
Yeah.
some, bring
But
some
yeah,
highlights.
But yeah, it's really cool, and it will definitely motivate you, or at least pique your interest into the Pacific Crest Trail, and it'll definitely make you want to look into, what they're all about. Chaz and Chelsea, that is. Why would someone want to do this 6-month crazy journey from the border of the border of Mexico all the way up to the border of Canada, and actually into Canada a little bit?
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. I mean, that's a journey right there.
Yeah, they're basically, I mean, they're both 25 years old, and they just got married last summer, and they're basically made the decision to kind of upheave their lives and leave their comfort zone, quitting their jobs,
And it's kinda-
leaving their apartment.
And they've been thinking about it for a while, like 5 years, right? So
Yeah.
since they're both 20s,
Yeah,
in their early
early
20s, they've been, tossing around this idea of like, hey, let's join together and go on this crazy hike.
Yeah, and so they finally made a decision, and now they're actively pursuing it. And yeah, they'll leave the second week of April, and
And you'll be joining them.
yeah, we are going to document the whole thing. So we did a preliminary interview to talk about what the immediate future holds as far as the
Yep.
hike and how they're preparing, and what mentally goes into a decision like that. And we will get back with them right before they leave, a few days before
Yep.
the set off, and then about halfway through their journey when they're reach Yosemite, and then of course when they come back, we will catch up with them too. So
Oh yeah,
Something
definitely hope to
definitely
meet
looking
up with them
forward
in Yosemite. I've never been to Yosemite, so it'd be a fun thing for me.
yeah,
And
It's
just to meet up
amazing.
with them halfway through, I want to see how thick Chaz's beard is.
Yeah.
I want to see how long Chelsea's hair's gotten, or
Yeah.
what color it might be at that point. I don't know. Will it
don't
still
know.
be brown?
Yeah.
I don't know.
maybe she'll dye it with some
Maybe-
all-natural berries on the way. She'll find a way,
Blueberries, mulberries.
Yeah, it's just a fascinating experience. One to undertake a 6-month hike, and the other is what I found so fascinating is like all the they call them trail angels, and they're people who have done the trail and they kind of live along there on the way, and basically kind of just offer their services to anyone who's doing the trail, whether it be like picking them up, driving them to town, giving them a place to stay, cooking them meals. It's just
Yeah.
all like a big voluntary community that kind of rallies around each other, and I think that's one of the most amazing parts about the journey, and kind of like the hiking culture is that they're all there in support of each other, and to accomplish such a great feat.
Yeah, it's got to be an amazing support system, especially when you're endeavoring such a strenuous, long. I mean, they're planning on doing 20 miles a day, walking 20 miles a day. Can you imagine doing that on your normal day-to-day basis? Probably not. And not only will they be walking 20 miles, but they'll be walking 20 miles in like some of the most beautiful, untouched, pristine areas that California, Oregon, and Washington, and a little bit of Canada have to offer. That's pretty
Right.
fucking awesome.
Not only that, different like the desert. They're going through the desert.
Yeah,
they'll
they're
go through
gonna
the
all
Sierras.
terrains.
Yeah, they'll summit Mount Whitney. Desert, snow, forest, everything.
Yeah.
Everything, and seasonal changes that
Oh,
happen
yeah,
within
yeah.
6 months. So that's all summer. Some is spring, summer, and
Yeah.
fall. It's just crazy. So I have to ask you. You know, we talked to them for a good hour.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you learn a lot more? Would you ever do a hike like that? Is that in your comfort? You know, in your
Well,
wheelhouse?
I thought about that. Like if, like when Chaz and Chelsea, when they're just describing like, you know, all that entails in this journey, I was trying to think like, oh, could I do this? Like, would I be willing
Yeah.
to do this? And I think it would probably take me 5 years, just like them, to talk myself. Maybe not 5 years, but I would have to really think about it.
Detach.
Really
I think.
detach. I enjoy taking showers. I enjoy sleeping in my bed. I like the internet. Like, there are things that I enjoy, and it's like, but then at the same time, I'm like, I'm very envious. I'm like, shit, I wish I could just take 6 months and just walk and enjoy and be with, you know, Chaz and Chelsea. They're, you know, newlyweds. They're best friends. You know, what's better than that to spend a fun,
Yeah.
you know, journey with your best friend? Fuck, that's awesome.
Yeah, 6 month. You know, well, I mean, obviously they already enjoy hiking. It's
Oh,
it's
yeah.
big part of who
It's
they
a
are
weekly,
as a couple.
almost daily thing for them. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And so, you know, it's like a 6 month vacation. 6 months of just doing what you love, not having the obligations to
Yeah, and
work or
and it's not-
society or anything like that.
Yeah, and I asked him because I was curious. I'm like, how much money do you have to set aside for something like this? You know,
Uh-huh.
is this just like a couple of grand? I mean, like, what does it really take to take 6 months off? You're not really staying in hotels, and if you do, maybe it's a night or two, you know, here and there throughout your
Right,
journey.
right.
It's not like every night you're going to be in a hotel room, and it's not like every night you got to pay for a campground or anything like that. So it's like it's relatively cheap to do, and you don't need anyone there to guide you. You just follow the trail, and obviously you have people along the way that, like a good support system, the trail angels. That's awesome.
Really, yeah.
That's cool. And yeah, I don't know, man. That's a long way.
Yeah,
6 months.
It's a long way.
2,000, like, what was it, 560 miles or something?
2663.
Damn.
Yeah.
Oh my.
It is. It's a long way, and like Chaz showed me the class video that they do every year, and it kind of documents, you know, several people's journey up there, and you know, it's like a kind of a celebration. People always take pictures at different mile markers, you know, like 100 miles, 200 miles.
Right.
I mean, even in the video is 45 minutes long. Like when you get halfway through, and there's, you know, the halfway mile marker, like, holy crap, you still have 3 more months of walking.
Yeah,
to do.
yeah.
It's, to me, I can't really comprehend it. Like,
So what about you? Would you want to do that? Is that something that's in your wheelhouse? Is that something you'd be willing to take 6 months off and just buy some good shoes and all that expensive ass equipment and take off?
yes, I think it definitely is.
Yeah.
I think, you know, I've been like actively hiking with them for about 4 or 5 months now. And so you know, it was before they made the decision, you know, and afterward, and now it's putting into motion. And I have to say, like, as they get closer to doing it, I get more and more envious about it. And
They seem so happy. They look so
Yeah.
stoked, you know? I mean, who wouldn't want to quit their job and go on an adventure?
Right. And I just think I would be more looking for the mental aspect of it, of the whole letting go of everything.
At 20,
you know.
if I was 25, yeah, I would definitely fucking do it.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. At that time in my life, at 25, looking back, yeah, I would do it. I would definitely do it.
Yeah, if someone-
Not that I'm much older than them or anything
Yeah.
like that, but
If I would have known, or I mean, I kind of knew about it back then, but like if I had friends that were doing it around that time, there would have been nothing stopping me from going. And I still think I mean, I have certain obligations right now that would keep me from going, but maybe in a year, you know, who
right,
knows?
yeah. Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe something I want to undertake. I don't
Yeah.
know. And plus interviewing them, and I'm doing the first, you know, 4 days with them on the hike. So that'll give me some perspective. But I think most of all, interviewing them, you know, before, middle, and after is just, it's going to make it or break it for me, whether I want to do it or not.
Yeah, man, when you first do those 4 days, you said, right? And do you know how many miles you're going to be covering throughout that time?
I think it's
At least
like
100?
20, 40, about 80 miles.
80 miles?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that might just light the fire under your ass, you know?
Right.
And just be like, fuck.
Yeah, we keep joking about the fact that I'll get to my
You're
destination
just gonna keep
and I'll
going.
just be like, all right,
Calling sick
make
to Costco.
make a couple phone calls and then not worry about anything for
Right,
the next 6 months.
Yeah. Just throw your phone.
Yeah.
And you're like, the world's dead to me. Here
Yeah.
we go.
I don't know. That would be, you think like, oh, well, what's really holding me back? Well, not a whole lot. I mean,
Nothing
for me, 'cause
really.
I don't have a family or anything. It'd be different if I had
Right.
familial, obligations, but I don't. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
gonna be cool. I think I am gonna be genuinely, a little like sad to leave the trail when I do, knowing that they're have so much more to go and like
Yeah.
the stuff they're gonna see is so amazing. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
But then I'll probably get home to my bed and be like, oh, well, that was fun.
Yeah.
So
But I'm very, very excited to basically, experience the trail through them. We're going to be able to interview them, and interviewing them, and then hopefully I will definitely want to be able to, touch base with them up in Yosemite, and hopefully we'll get a good group together, good crew of people to kind of like, welcome them into Yosemite, basically. And,
yeah, spoil them
with
for a
open
couple
arms.
days.
Yeah. Have some beer for them. let them just hang out with their friends. Maybe get a little separation from each other. They have a wonderful relationship, but everyone needs a little time away.
Oh, definitely.
Everyone needs a little time away from the people that they love the most.
Yeah, because it's not just hiking. I mean, really, they're surviving together.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, dude. They are surviving together as a team.
Mm-hmm.
Male and female. She's gonna have different experiences along that trail, and he's gonna have different experiences along that trail, and they're gonna have shared ones too.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they're gonna come back with a baby.
A trail baby.
A trail baby. Yeah. So it's rad. It's rad. We'll be
Yeah,
on
very,
that
very
journey.
cool. So yeah, a couple weeks ago, Matt and I, we saw comedian Ari Shaffir
Yeah.
and Steve Simone at the La Jolla Comedy Store in sunny San Diego. And it was our second time seeing Ari Shaffir. And Ari Shaffir is a hilarious comic. You should check out his podcast. It's Skeptic Tank. So go on iTunes, Skeptic Tank, Ari Shaffir. You will find his podcast. It's amazing. He interviews comics. He interviews random people. He's interviewed hookers, drug dealers. He's interviewed his most recent podcast is with a comedian. His name is Doc something, but he was like a legitimate, like if you've ever seen The Wire, this guy was a legitimate drug dealer in Detroit. Like he was slinging crack back in the day when he was a youngin', and he was involved with a legitimate real gang that killed people and fucked people up, and it's a fascinating interview, but really, really also funny and comical. So it's like, it's crazy and lighthearted, but yet funny. So yeah, check out Ari Shaffir. But yeah, we saw his new comedy special, his hour.
Yeah. And
And,
testing it out.
Yeah, exactly. So I laughed my ass off the whole fucking time. Ari Shaffir is a funny guy, and his one of his opening comedians, Steve Simone, he's a pretty well-known L.A. comic, and they usually perform at the Los Angeles Comedy Store that's up there, the main one. And but yeah, both of them, highly impressed. Really, really good show. Then they had the local guys who were always probably there at the La Jolla Comedy Store, and they were funny too. A couple of those guys were really good.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always fun to go to a live comedy show. I recommend everyone, if you've never been to a live comedy show, you're missing out. And it's really not that expensive to,
Yeah.
it's like $12 for a ticket, and then usually you got to buy 2 drinks or whatever. But
Yeah.
you're probably gonna do that anyway. So
Yeah. And even like I said, the openers, I mean, they were pretty good too. Like it's just a different experience seeing it live, and on Ari Shaffir's podcast too. I like his podcast because like it feels like each one is a different theme almost.
oh yeah.
Just given his interviews and stuff, and it's not like a bunch of just joke trying out material and stuff.
No,
He's
no. He
generally
goes deep. He really goes
he's really
deep. He asks
interesting.
poignant questions. Like he's curious too. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
And not biased or judgmental and stuff, and just lets people basically tell their story and stuff like that.
Yeah, Ari Shaffir is definitely one of those other, podcasters out there that's, for me, motivated me to want to do a podcast, Like, listening to his podcast made me like, well, you know what? I've got some interesting friends. I'd love to have my friends on and talk to them, I know they're not famous or anything like that, but it's still fascinating to me, and I think other people would want to hear it too. So it's like, his format of his podcast motivated me to want to, like, tweak it into cabin fever, which is awesome.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And his podcast and the Bone Zone.
Yes, the
Something you
Bone
should
Zone
listen to.
with Brendan Walsh and Randy Lidke.
Yeah. AKA the iPhone cookie guy. That's his been.
And the Skeptic Tank and the Bone Zone, night and day, much different podcast. The Bone Zone is much more freeform. I feel like it's like it's a improv, basically. I mean, they play off of each other. They'll go down the rabbit hole with each other, down crazy venues. They do prank calls. They'll have the random guest on, and you think they're going to do a normal interview, but they just talk about skateboarding for an hour, and the guest is like, I don't know anything about skateboarding, but okay.
Yeah. What's so entertaining is they have a guest on their podcast, but they kind of go out of the way to ignore the guest.
Basically ignore the guest.
Yeah. Or when they start talking, they find some way to diminish whatever they're saying.
Right, yeah. But yeah, check out the Bone Zone. iTunes.
Yeah, definitely.
So this Sunday we had a pretty big event. The Super Bowl, number 48.
Was it 48?
Yep,
That's
number
crazy.
48. For some reason, I thought they were in like 52 or something.
Yeah, I thought the last.
I don't know.
I thought that must have been the last time.
45 maybe.
The last
Like a
time
big deal?
Seahawks were in it must have been 40 because it was like XL. Yeah, it was XL. I remember, and L is 50 and X is 10.
So the Seahawks, not that long ago, they were actually in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, against the Steelers.
No
Yeah.
shit?
Yeah, Super Bowl 40.
Wow, that just like blurred into my
Yeah.
blurred into all the Super Bowls that I've. Wow.
Yeah, I want to say it was like, what, 2005?
Oh, fuck those Seahawks. What the fuck, man? Just go to the Super Bowl all the fucking
Yeah.
time?
Well, I mean, this
That's
one was
cool,
their
though.
second Super Bowl
No, yeah, and
appearance,
I'm
they won.
stoked. I was going for Denver Broncos. I wanted to see Peyton Manning because it was like it would be like a new record, that a starting quarterback has won 2 Super Bowls with 2 different teams,
yeah.
and I was kind of stoked about that. And plus, he had a phenomenal season, record-breaking
Definitely.
season with touchdowns and passing yards. So
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
I kind of felt like he deserved it, but I'm sure he got MVP of whatever, the AFC, and
Yeah.
he got all those accolades and all that cool stuff. And if he continues with the Broncos, which I'm assuming he will next season,
Yeah.
maybe
Hopefully
they'll get another start.
hopefully
Maybe
they'll
they'll
put,
get there again, and they won't get there completely slaughtered by Seattle's defense.
Yeah. Hopefully themselves will have a better defense next year because I think obviously they made some offensive mistakes, but yeah, their defense couldn't stop anything. And Seattle didn't even have the best defense either. So
Right, that's true. Yeah, I mean, they definitely had a good defense. I had them on fantasy football. They definitely helped me out quite a few times.
yeah, oh yeah, I had them too.
Yeah.
They were on point, but pretty crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see any? I didn't get to watch the game. I
Yeah.
just saw bits
Yeah, I
and
saw
pieces.
the majority of it. Yeah,
You were streaming it online, so did they
Yep.
show the commercials?
they did. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I wasn't sure if it was the exact same commercials that everyone else was seeing, but I would assume so. Like I saw the Tim Tebow commercial over and over. Basically, he was just making fun of himself, the fact that he isn't playing football right now and doesn't
Uh-huh.
have a contract. And like the commercial was basically like, oh, because I don't have a contract, I'm able to be a stunt driver or whatever, or I'm able to
okay.
go, I don't know, save the world. I don't have a contract. Nothing's holding me back. And I don't know. I think it was a T-Mobile commercial or something retarded
Okay.
like that. But that was kind of funny. That's what I remember from the
Yeah.
commercial. So yeah, I did see probably most of them. I think most of the commercials. I don't know. But once again, I was working, so it was like the Super Bowl was going on over here, and I was kind of like looking up every once in a while. And then after a while, it's like the Broncos are getting slaughtered, and you kind of realize, okay, there's no coming back from this. And they were playing so horribly, and Broncos offense really wasn't able to get anything going.
Yeah.
They had like brief streaks of making it.
Yeah.
I think it was just like a momentary lapse of the Seattle defense for them to even score one touchdown. You know, it's just like like one little mistake, you know, and one receiver was able to slip by and get that one touchdown.
Yeah.
And then they were, you know, able to get the 2-point conversion to make it 8 points. Well, whatever. I mean, I don't really give a shit. Not really my team that I really care about, but
Yeah.
and I would have preferred it to be a little bit more competitive, but, you know, whatever. I'm glad for Seattle. I mean, Seattle, that's cool. I mean, especially Russell Wilson, young quarterback, doing his thing.
Yeah.
The defense definitely won him that Super Bowl, so.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. You want to see... I guess I want to see, like, the AFC win.
Yeah, I'm an AFC fan just because
Yeah.
the Chargers are the AFC, so
Yeah.
I want to see, you know.
Legion of Boom.
Yeah.
Legion of Boom.
Yeah.
I swear, I mean, like I said, I only watched a few minutes of the game, but I swear you could just hear the noise of the Seattle fans. I mean, I think I even listened to ESPN beforehand. They were saying that more Seattle fans were coming out to the Super Bowl than Denver.
That kind of makes sense because I heard that Wes Welker mentioned he wasn't expecting it to be that loud or something like that. And that was like a problem for them.
Right.
Like they weren't able to hear Peyton do the plays or whatever. And that's why there was so much confusion or whatever going on the offense.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
Yeah.
To me, that just sounds like an excuse. I'm like,
Yeah.
you never heard noise before in the stadium?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's
Yeah.
loud as fuck there on the
Yeah.
field, but still.
Get your shit together.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
And I wanted to see Welker get a Super Bowl because he's been there twice, or now 3 times, and still hasn't won.
Oh yeah, true. That's
jinxing
gonna
it.
be frustrating.
White man jinxing it.
I didn't realize that Eli Manning had more Super Bowl victories than Peyton.
Dose, right? He's
Yeah,
got 2.
2.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 and 3 appearances.
And that was the Giants' defense winning those Super Bowls, from what I recall.
Oh really?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I think they were always their offense was good, but their defense was a little better, and that's what got them
Yeah.
there. Well,
Yeah.
Eli shit the bed this season, so
Yeah, they were terrible.
yeah, it's fine with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Peyton's been 3 times, but he's only won once.
Yep.
So crazy. But Peyton's obviously the better quarterback.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
hopefully Denver will step up their defensive game, and then, but all in all, hopefully the Chargers will step up their game. And
Oh yeah, I'd
Make it
much
farther
rather
in the
I'd much
playoffs.
rather see the Chargers go.
Yeah.
That's for sure. I'd love to see Phillip Rivers get a ring. I want to see him fucking get crazy. You know, after that game, you know,
Yeah.
he'll go nuts.
hell yeah.
He'll get all 7 kids on his shoulder like this, just like yeah! These little perfect blonde kids.
For
No
real.
more kids, Phillip Rivers. Stop.
Until
Stop
you get
with
a
the
ring.
children.
Until you get a ring.
get a Super Bowl ring. No more having
then-
sex with your wife
and then do
without a
whatever you want.
condom.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then get 10, 20 kids, whatever. You can afford it.
Yeah. Start drafting some of your kids. You
yeah,
know?
yeah. Get those kids in there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we'll see. What's you got in that notebook?
All right, you want to go completely left field?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's do it.
Have you ever heard of Groom of the Stool? Do you know what that is? Groom.
Wait, can I take a few guesses?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes.
Groom of the Stool was it's like a tradition, and when you go to the doctor, and you have to give a sample, a stool sample. The guy who picks up your sample in the break room, they call him the Groom of the Stool because he's like, he has to take it by the hand and, you know, escort it down the hallway.
That's very
pretty good?
Very close.
Okay. Not it though?
No.
Okay.
Close though.
Groom of the Stool.
Getting warmer and softer.
Oh, it's in a wedding when the groom can no longer stand because he's so nervous he has to sit on a stool.
Ooh. No. Close though.
Yeah.
Ish. One
This
more.
might
Give you
be-
one. Give
okay.
you one more,
Groom of the Stool.
and then it's revealed.
Oh, in a I think it comes from like you know, ancient times when there was like carpenters.
Yeah. Yeah.
One guy, when a stool was made, he had to, or when a stool, people brought in their stools,
right.
like from their house.
Yeah.
When they were getting kind of like ranky and like overgrown, they'd have to to sand them back down again because they'd have to groom it like a dog groomer. You know, you ever have an overgrown stool? They're annoying. You can't have
if there's a little bump in that stool, you know,
Yeah.
and you're sitting on, you're like, what? It's like having a pebble in your shoe, you know?
Yeah, it's always
Someone groom this stool,
yeah, it's always
please.
nipping at your heels, like giving you splinters and stuff. A stool groomer.
All right. I would say your first guess was pretty damn close. The groom of the stool. Do you know our royals to the across the pond, our British brethren? Well, back in the day, our royals, they had a position called the groom of the stool. And now it's a pretty high-ranking position amongst the royals, you know, within their little, you know, servient community. The groom of the stool's job is to basically wipe the ass of the king, the queen, the prince. They all have their own groom of the stool, and they're literally
No, they don't.
wiping their ass.
Are you serious?
Yes. I looked
so when
it up.
they go to the bathroom, they
have
are
someone
there.
wiping their ass for them. It's real. It's real. I looked it up. I had to look it up myself because
Where did you hear this?
Because I didn't believe it on some podcast, on one of the podcasts.
my
I think it
God.
might have been on Rogan or something, but I had to look it up because
Like every time they go to the bathroom.
every time. I don't know if this is true, but I heard this as well. I don't
Why
know if it's
can't they
really
wipe
true
their own ass?
because they're royal. They're of God. They are
shouldn't have
insane
to
psychopaths, sociopath, fucking crazy people.
So they shouldn't have to touch their own.
Exactly. No filth on their
Okay.
hands. Their hands are
Okay.
clean of shit. So they I'm not shitting you.
Okay.
This is real. Like and okay, so and like back in the day they would bring in their little shit pot for them. They didn't have bathrooms, you know, way back in the day.
Okay.
And supposedly this stopped in the mid 1900s, you know, maybe when the queen was a little youngin' or whatever. When she was a little girl, they might have stopped this shit. Literally stopped wiping shit for them.
Okay.
But they'd bring in their little bidet type of not a bidet, but their little stool basically, and they would come in and the royals would perform their shitly duties, and then the groom of the stool would come in, wipe their ass, and then they would take the shit
Okay.
and keep it.
Royal shit.
They supposedly there's a whole basement full of royal shit.
Oh wow.
Every shit is
So they just put it in
contained in some kind of little container,
Oh my god.
and the royal shit is put away.
They're
Wikipedia it,
obsessed.
Google it, look it up. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true.
They're shit obsessed.
Fact is stranger than fiction. I'm sorry, it really is.
Would they once a year like everyone grabs a jar of shit and they parade it around, or would they auction it to?
I don't know. I don't know why they even keep it. I don't know what the deal
Well, they
is.
didn't. They didn't want anyone else to have it.
They don't want anyone to see or smell or be graced by their shit. I don't know. But the royals are fucking insane. They're insane
crazy.
people. Their entire lives they're inbred psychopaths that have been trained to believe that they are higher than anyone in the land.
Yeah.
And these motherfuckers believe it. And people
That's
are
awkward.
still
Carrying on.
buying along with this insanity of the king and queen and all the shit and the princes and Prince William, and I'm like, it's 2014. They're still called princes and queens
Yeah.
and kings and
They're
shit.
just figureheads. I mean, they don't do anything.
I know why.
Yeah.
And they're allotted millions of dollars every year in the British tax money or whatever. They get millions, and they own property all over the world. All over the world. It's
That's
insane.
so weird. And then
And so-
someone else wipes their butt.
Yeah, and they say that it stopped, but others say that it hasn't stopped. It's not as public. It's not known, but it's still.
So would the
going
groom of
on.
the stool travel with them?
Yes, everywhere.
Okay.
It's
Because
a
there's,
high
like, a lot of-
position in the court, and
Okay.
supposedly Princess Diana's father was the groom of the stool, which is a higher position, and that's how Princess Diana was even,
Oh, introduced.
introduced and involved
Okay.
because they were a lower family. They weren't royalty.
Okay.
From what I can recall, they might have had, obviously he was if her father was the groom of the stool, he
Yeah.
had some position in that court or whatever, but other than that, they're not like lords, or she wasn't a princess in some other family. She was
Right.
just supposedly
Just a commoner.
Right. Exactly.
And she probably wiped herself for a while. A long
I
time.
don't feel I want to think Princess Diana was cool enough to not have someone
Yeah.
else wipe her own ass.
Could you imagine growing up in our household and Dad comes home from work every day and he just like rests his hand on a pillow because he's just been wiping shit all day.
Oh, right.
And then everyone like was like, "Oh, that's the shit wiping
That's the
hand.
hand.
That's the hand that wipes."
Well, people would probably think that's a blessed hand.
Right.
That hand is probably poked through the tissue paper into some royal shit.
Yeah. It's probably graced the king's sack on accident.
His hand's probably glowing. It's probably
It's
just.
probably.
Well, that's the groom of the stool, everybody. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba. Well, that's real shit. Please
Wow.
look it up, Matt. When you get home tonight,
Okay.
look up groom of the
I
stool,
probably will.
and let me know if I got too high and I'm making this shit up. But I'm pretty sure.
Oh my God, I'm
I'm
gonna be
about
upset if you did.
99% sure that it's true. I Wikipedia'd it and Googled it, and groom of the stool. That is what it was.
Okay, well, when you looked it up, was that only in like British custom, or was it?
Yeah, I don't think our president had a groom of the stool or anything like that. Oh, like
Just, you know,
British?
I don't
no,
know,
you know
like
what?
other
No.
kings and queens and-
Well, you know that all those royal families are all related, right? The Dutch,
Yeah.
the Germans, they're all. I mean, actually, the British family is a German family. They're not really
Oh.
British. They're German. Their last name is like, it's a crazy German weird name. It's like they're not really British. You know
Cool.
that?
Yeah.
You know that, right? Though.
Oh no, I didn't.
They
know.
are,
I didn't
yeah.
know.
Oh,
No.
yeah. I mean, back in the day, I mean, I forget which king. He didn't even speak English. He spoke German.
Oh.
And they had interpreters and shit. All that shit's fucked up. It's all insane over there, man.
That's
It's retarded.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a matter of
It's
time.
all intertwined bullshit and craziness. And,
Yeah.
I just wish people would stop fucking sucking these fucking weirdos' cocks.
I wonder if
give them some shithole, not a shithole, but give them some land out of nowhere, and take over that palace and turn it into something cool. I don't know.
Yeah, let 'em-
Give it back to the people.
Yeah, exactly. Let people come. I don't know, stay there.
Yeah.
But I wonder if how
Could you handle a groom of the stool? Could you handle having someone wipe your
Oh
butt
man,
for
that'd
you?
be so weird.
But if you grew up with that would be
Well, then I wouldn't know any different.
exactly. So it's
Yeah.
like you can't blame them for having
Oh,
a
no,
groom of
I-
the stool because
I-
that's what
I
they
get that.
That's what they. It's just like
Keeping it-
anyone. Yeah, keeping it's bizarre.
Yeah,
Keeping is real weird.
that's a lot of space.
Every royals, that's a lot of turds to keep.
And now there's just dried up.
Oh yeah, 100-year-old turds in there,
You know, turn to dust.
Yeah, what happens to it?
Time to shit in a jar and let it sit.
Yeah, it's time
Let
to
your shit
experiment.
sit.
Time to experiment.
That was their. Well, they don't keep it anymore, but
Supposedly.
that was the
Supposedly.
that was the rule behind it. They were like, let your shit sit. And you know what happened too? Probably little poor commoners would shit in a jar and be like, "I'm a royal, mommy."
Oh yeah, no, sell it, sell it. Look, I got some royal shit here. This
Yeah.
is from November 2nd.
No, they would emulate the royals. Though.
1773.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
They would
Look,
shit
this is a
in
perfect
jar.
replica of
Yeah.
the queen's shit.
It's like the royal shit in a jar. That's too weird. That's crazy. It's
Fuck
weird
yeah,
to
that's
think.
crazy.
Like, yeah, it is weird to think that they still have those figureheads over there, king and queen and whatnot. It just seems like fable at this point.
Fact is always stranger than fiction because it's like, what, really, what? That's a title. That's something you would want to aspire to be. The groom of the stool. You want to be. They took care of all their toiletry shit. All their toiletry whatever comes with it, you know.
Yeah.
Dealing with the bathroom, dealing with whatever it might be.
Yeah, I think. Well, you know what's weird to me? I remember being at an airport when they were having the royal wedding a few years ago.
Right,
and
right.
Like everyone at the airport was like just stopped to watch the coverage of it.
Why
And,
do Americans care? Why would we ever give a shit?
Well, what I'm
about
wondering is
that?
like, why do we care? And on top of that, do people in England see that as more of like a tabloid, drawn to it the way we're drawn to celebrities in America? You know, we're like,
Oh, they're definitely celebrities. Yeah, that's definitely. I feel like it's got to be the older generation who's like really holding
Yeah.
on to like they are,
Yeah.
they are royal.
or like the uneducated populace.
Oh,
who just
absolutely.
can't
Yeah.
decipher,
Like, oh, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's how I feel about our tabloids and stuff. You know, it's just like,
Oh, it's Kim
This is fake
Kardashian.
shit.
No one gives a fuck about
Yeah,
the
like-
Kardashians. Come on, they're the same fucking people, just like anyone else, except they have a shit ton of money. And her fucking dad was a O.J. Simpson's fucking lawyer. Wow, that's great. And then she did a fucking porn, and now they have a show, and now they're supposed to be American royalty.
right?
Now she's married to Kanye West, and it's just like it's all bullshit, man. It's
Yeah,
all a bunch of
it's-
retarded shit that we don't need to be thinking about.
Yeah, it's pretty stupid. I mean, their entire relationship revolves around being in the public eye. Like, what if we all turned a blind eye? It would end so fast.
Yeah,
And it'd have to be-
I truly feel like it's all story. It's all like scripted.
Yeah.
It's scripted for us, you know. It's like all made up. It's like
yeah.
we'll create our own little royalty amongst us. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, true.
And they do it, every couple of years. There's a new person that's fucking up. Now it's Justin Bieber. Before that, who was it? Britney Spears,
Yeah.
Amanda Bynes,
Yeah.
Lindsay Lohan, and now it's Justin Bieber. Now
Yeah.
we all have to care about this little fucker.
Yeah.
No one really cares about Justin Bieber except like 13-year-old girls who still listen to his shitty music.
Yeah. And even then, they have to outgrow it at some point.
Oh yeah.
That's
Yeah,
just
oh yeah,
weird.
there will be girls who be like, oh yeah, I was in Justin Bieber. I don't know what I was thinking. Blah 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 blah. blah, 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 blah.
You're just so cool. He looked like a girl.
Yeah.
That was funny when he first came around and like he had like a lesbian haircut. That's all you'd ever see. It's the
Yeah.
comparisons between Justin Bieber and a lesbian. I was like, ah.
What's funny? Did you see those pictures when he got arrested and they like halved it with Miley
Oh,
Cyrus?
yeah.
They
Yeah,
look
it was like dead on.
eerily close.
It's just like him with lipstick on.
Yeah, exactly.
it looked like.
Yeah. He's very femme dude.
That's weird. Yeah, it's true. He's like 18 or 19 years old and still looks like he's a little kid.
Yeah, he's 19, I think.
Yeah. Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit about him? Not me. About me. Okay.
Right.
All right,
Where
well-
we at? Are we at that witching hour?
We're
there?
We're about an hour right here.
Oh, nice. We did it, Matt.
Yeah.
We made it.
We're on the internet.
That's Matt Whitney, not me, making fun of slow people.
I'm not making fun of everyone. That's how I
is it-
talk.
Oh, okay.
Get enough sculpin in
My scalping boy.
it numbs the throat. It's habanero. It's spices. All right, let's listen to a song.
All right. Well, intro us
All
into
right.
this amazingly delicious song.
It's amazing and delicious. It's a song.
You can't. What? You're welcome, America.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I've been working on a tribute album to Credence Clearwater Revival. I started working on this last August.
Yeah.
I've gotten 12 bands involved, and they're all the songs are done. They're all been recorded, and it's
And I want to congratulate you on that because
Oh,
that's.
thank you.
I'm sure it was probably like pulling teeth at some point. You know, I'm sure it was hard to, corral these bands that are
Yeah.
busy. They're doing their own thing. They're trying to figure out their other music, and then you introduce this like cool idea to them, and they liked it. And that's
Yeah.
cool. And I'm glad that it's finally like it's one step closer, and that's
it's
very cool.
Definitely, we're almost there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was cool the response to get from bands because Creedence is a classic rock. It's an old stable, but the bands were so passionate about doing it and getting on board, and you know, some dropped out on the way, and found others that were
Right.
just as passionate, and it was fun. It was, looking back, it's been like a really fun ride. So, like I said, 12 tracks. Excuse me. It should be coming out either late April or early May
Nice.
officially. But yeah, I just got another track today, and I was gonna play it here on the podcast. It's a cover of "Born on the Bayou" by a band called Bad News Bears, and I think they did a phenomenal job. I'll play
Nice.
it.
Oh wait. Before you play it.
I gotta try to load it on here anyway. I'm not even sure how.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so you can find me at Sean Evans Photo on Instagram and Twitter, and that's SEANEVANSPHOTO at little sign before that whole deal. Where can they find you, Matt
Right.
Whitney? Oh, and you can find me at
Nice.
SeanEvansPhotography.com. You can check out some of my work, and I'm on Facebook.
I have a Twitter. It is at PacMatt. It's like Pac-Man, but it's PacMatt.
Okay.
There you go. And then my the label under which I'm releasing the music is called Tan and Blue Recording Company.
And you're currently building a website and all that
I'm
stuff.
building
getting
a
it ready,
website,
and you got a Facebook.
but I do have a
already.
Facebook
So
page.
like his page on Facebook,
Yeah.
please.
Yes,
And
check
mine.
it out. A lot of updates and whatnot regarding the release coming soon.
Oh, very cool.
So there we go. Okay, this song is called "Born on the Bayou," and it's by a band called Bad News Bears. Enjoy.